Everybody, welcome to the channel. For this video, I'm going to be talking about buying food here in the Philippines. And I don't mean the tourist type, going out to restaurants. I'm talking about if you're actually living here or staying here for an extended period, what are your different options for eating food, typically that you're going to be cooking. So when we are looking at buying food, one of the things is, are we talking about like fresh meats and produce? Are we talking about like canned goods, prepared foods, things like that? We can talk a little bit about restaurants, dining out, and some of those categories as well. There's also the different types of places where you can buy your food. Would it be like a big chain grocery store or the local open markets? So first, one of the questions I've been getting both in comments or in emails is things like the health safety, food quality, things like that. And it can vary. Just want to point out also that some of these things are going to vary depending on where you live and what's around you. If you're in the metro, bigger city areas, it can vary. But usually the grocery stores, the restaurants, and all that kind of stuff in the bigger city areas are going to be of higher quality. Even though there's no like farms and stuff around the big cities, they have all that stuff brought in because they're going to get good money for selling all of it. So if you're like in Metro Manila and you go to one of the big grocery stores, the vegetables and stuff you're going to find there are usually going to be a much better selection and a better quality, the fresher and stuff, than what you would find at, say, the same grocery store chain that's out farther away, and especially like out in the provincial area. Seems kind of weird. You're in the provincial area where they're actually growing the produce, but that produce will get shipped to like a central distribution thing over in the metro area, and then it'll get shipped back out to where you are sometimes. So even though you're right around where they grow those crops, you might be getting them after they've been in a truck or a warehouse for a couple of days. So the closer you are to a metro area, from my experience, the better quality you're getting. The reverse is true for the open markets. If you go to a market, you're going to find much fresher and better stuff, but sometimes the quality of it might not be as great because at the open market, they're not as picky and they're going to sell everything, even if it's not the better quality things you would find in the more expensive grocery stores. But if we start talking about just the restaurants or the different dine out options, prepared meals. So you've got your typical chain restaurants. This could be like a McDonald's or whatever. It can be a local restaurant as well. Those typically you're going to find better health standards, better food quality, but it's going to be more expensive. You can then find some of the more locally owned restaurants, which are a little bit smaller. And depending on which ones you go to, their health standards, food quality might be a little bit lower, but again, you get what you pay for. And sometimes these places are just family run little mom and pop places that they can have some really good food, but some of these places are not always that great. Here we have what are called carinderia, however you want to pronounce it. Essentially, it's like a family or group is doing like a potluck. They cook a whole bunch of stuff ahead of time, and then they have it sitting in the pots. You come up to them and you look in the different pots, and okay, there's that one, there's that. Okay, you see what's available, you pick which one you want. They'll get a serving for you. And that's it. It's pretty cheap. It's already cooked, so you don't have to like wait for them to prepare your food. But you got to think about that. The food has already been cooked, and the laws, regulations as far as food safety. Back in the U.S., I'm used to food handler certification, right? If you work in any kind of a restaurant or anything, regardless of what your actual job is, you got to have food handlers training so you know how to properly handle food safely and all that. I don't think they really have that here. So you got people working at like McDonald's and stuff. I don't really know what type of training, but I mean, obviously, some of these current areas don't have those same regulations. So you might go to some of these places and there could be ants on the food or flies buzzing around, pots with the lids still open, exposed that have been sitting there for 5, 6 hours. and they'll give it a quick stir before they give you your food. But you go to a carined area, there's a chance that the food's possibly been there for several hours, and it's not like it's being heated up like a buffet or something. This is food that was cooked in a pot, and it's been sitting in this warm pot for hours. Now, personally, I don't mind the carined area. You go to some of them, and they've got some pretty decent food. Some of these places, you're like, I can see ants on that stuff. I'm not touching that. You know, it's kind of a, if you see a place that's really popular where they're cooking the food more often because they're selling more of it, so they're constantly having to recook the food during the day. You kind of learn when the food's fresh, so you kind of learn when's a good time to go there, when's not the best time to go. But you do have those options. You're also going to find like little food stands, little carts. People are going around selling food. If you live in a suburban area, like a housing community, you might have people that are going through selling food that way. Again, it's stuff they've already cooked, and then they're just going through and selling it. One other thing that we saw pop up, especially during the lockdowns of COVID, is the home delivery service. Now, delivery on its own is a whole different thing here. Back in the U.S., for food delivery, and we're not talking about like Grab, Uber, anything like that, like actual delivery. It was usually limited to like pizza parlors, maybe a couple like Chinese or Asian restaurants, but usually that was kind of the limit of your food delivery was like pizza parlors. Here, even McDonald's delivers. If you live in a metro area where you've got like a Wendy's and stuff, like every single one of these places will pretty much deliver. But what we saw during lockdowns, people weren't able to work as much, they weren't able to go out as much. So you saw a lot of these at-home food delivery places. They're not a licensed restaurant or anything. It's just a family that's cooking food and selling it online. So it's usually like through Facebook and stuff like that. You'll see postings for these things where people will cook up spaghetti or just all kinds of different local types of foods, and then they'll be advertising it. And some of it it's cooked beforehand, some of it's cooked to order. But they've got some of these places have full menus where you go, you pick what you want, they'll make it for you, and then they'll come and deliver it to you. So they're making it out of their house. They don't have an actual store or anything like that. It's just, you can get your food that way. And especially during lockdowns, where a lot of the restaurants and fast food places were either totally shut down, or you had to wait in line for 2 hours wearing face mask, face shield, and all that crap just to go out. Being able to have food delivered to your house was convenient. And this sprung up really big during lockdowns. And now, even after the whole COVID lockdowns is all done and over, gone, a lot of these places, they've seen that this is a really big thing. So if you go on to Facebook and you're looking in like your local area, for your barangay, your city, or whatever, you're often going to see different postings for people that are selling all kinds of different foods that you can have delivered to your house that way. So you do have a lot of those options. Also, if you go to some of the convenience stores like 7-Elevens or places like that, Alpha Mart, different things, they're going to have hot foods there. Back in the U.S., I'm used to you go like a 7-Eleven, you might find like the hot dogs, and, things like that that might be available, maybe some like burritos or something. But a lot of it was like frozen foods you pop into a microwave, or it was prepared foods like packaged, pre-made sandwiches and stuff like that. Here, those aren't really that big, but they'll have like fried chicken with some rice or hot dogs, show power, say weird things. They might have some donuts or something. So you've got food options in some of these places. You can go, you can get some chicken or some whatever. So you got a lot of different options of buying prepared foods. If you want to get onto Grab, that's one of the apps here. Does most of your food delivery. There's also like Food Panda, but Grab's the more popular one. Basically, any restaurant in the country is going to be able to deliver. And if they don't actually have a delivery service through there, you have what's called Lala Move, which is basically riders that have a scooter that'll go get whatever you want and bring it out to you. So if there's a restaurant that doesn't actually have normal delivery service, doesn't matter, you can still get it delivered. You order the food for them, and some guy will go pick up your order and bring it out to you. So you've got options for pretty much anything you want here. Now, if we start talking about buying your food, um, You can go to open markets and you're going to get a lot better prices, but quality and food safety can be a concern. Now, for me personally, seeing meats sold in the open markets is like a hell no. I mean, we're not talking refrigerated. We're talking about meat that's left. Sometimes they'll put a little bit of like ice around it or something, but it's just left totally open. There's no coverings on it. It's just open. And then they got like a cheap circular fan above the meat to kind of keep some of the flies away. That's not always working great because you can still see flies buzzing around all the meat and everything. Guys walking around every once in a while when a customer's coming up, swatting away flies and stuff. But I'm not going to be touching meat that's been sitting out for possibly half the day with bugs and flies and stuff buzzing around it. To me, that just screams hospital visit. So I'm not really into that. My wife will sometimes, I'll even go with her sometimes. We will buy meat products at some of these markets, but only the ones where one, you go after they've just taken the meat out, so it's still somewhat fresh, and they've got a little bit better to where the meat's still open and exposed, but it's in a kind of closed off area. But still, it's not the meat that I prefer, but it is cheaper. So when we're struggling for money and you've got to get your stuff, I mean, that's one of the only options you have. It's You got to pick and choose. You go to the market that looks like they have the highest sanitation of what's available. It's still not what you're expecting. I mean, the average foreigner that's used to going to a grocery store, supermarket, or something like Albertsons or whatever, and everything's inside of a air conditioned closed off building where there absolutely are no bugs. And you go in there and all the meat is either prepackaged and sealed or it's kept in enclosed display areas where, I mean, there's just no bugs. And you come here and you're like, no, I'm vegan now, I guess. Right? So you, it's not always that great. When you go to the grocery stores, the big grocery stores, it ain't much better. There's more ice, but it's still meat left in the open, and there's still going to be flies and stuff around there sometimes. So yeah, uh, like buying your meats and stuff like that. Usually, the better option is to go early in the mornings when this stuff is fresh. It's just taken out of the coolers and everything like that, where it has been sitting out for hours and hours. You know, just not good. Um, One other thing that I will mention, this kind of goes in with all this stuff, is you got to be careful here with knockoffs, poor quality Chinese import stuff. And I don't know why Filipinos have been doing this. Maybe they're doing it for a long time, and I just haven't lived here. I didn't know about it. But you see a lot of the stuff that you would normally find in China, like uh, fake foods or foods that, like, you might have meat that is starting to get close to rotting, where the meat is turning gray, and people will put dyes on the meat to recolor it to make it pop fresher, redder color, and they hope that you can't smell the funk. But when you go and you cook it, you're going to taste it and you're going to know that, yeah, this meat is old. I've been tricked. They might mix where you've got old funky meat that they'll mix in, like if you're buying like hamburger or ground meat or something, they'll mix in some of the fresh stuff with some of the old stuff. You just got to be careful. When you go shopping for any kind of meats, fish, anything like that, due diligence. Common sense. Look and see what you're going to be buying. How many customers do they have going up there? And just look around. And what does the sanitation situation look like? Don't expect this to be anything close to what you're used to. Just get the best that you can out of what's available. But I would typically say going to a supermarket is still going to be a little bit better sanitation than open markets, but it's slightly more expensive. That's just the way it is. So you've got different options like that. Now, when it comes to like your open markets for vegetables, kind of the same thing. If you go earlier when it's fresher, you're going to probably get some decent quality stuff. But after a while, after it's been sitting out in the open where there's no air conditioning, Things like carrots turn into rubber sticks. Your lettuce will wilt and get funky. Um, it's just we see a lot of the trucks. They're not like proper reefer trucks. They're hauling this stuff around. You might have a truck that's got a refrigerator unit, but it doesn't work, and they just rely on huge buckets of ice to kind of keep things cool while they transport it around. So a lot of times when you go even to a grocery store, when you buy your produce or your meats, within a couple of days, it's rot. It's bad. And that's, I'll go to a grocery store and buy cabbage and carrots and whatever and put them in the fridge when we get home. And within a couple of days, they're already nasty. They're already slimy and bad. It's like, wow. You know, I'm used to going to the grocery stores in the US. If I bought vegetables or fruits, I could put them in my fridge, and for over a week, they're still perfectly fine. And I mean, I could go 2, sometimes even 3 weeks before stuff was like actually not safe to use. But not here. Here, you pretty much, when you buy stuff at the grocery store, it's intended to be used within the next day or two. So it's not like you're going to be stocking your fridge for the week and expecting everything to actually last for the week. If you're freezing your meats and stuff, that works, but still, you just the cleanliness and food handling standards here are not as good as what you're used to. Just kind of get used to it. As far as my personal preference, again, I've already stated going to the open markets for meats is not something I'm really comfortable with. If my money has already run out and it's up to the wife now to spend her money on things, if she wants to go to the open market, hey, as long as the food is cookedly, if it's safely cooked and I don't get sick from it, which so far I haven't. Okay, if the market is where she wants to buy her stuff instead of the main grocery store, it is what it is. It's what you can afford. Buying vegetables, same thing. I would definitely prefer to get them from the grocery store just because they usually tend to have a little bit better freshness. Again, if you go to the market at the right time, you can get them where they're really good fresh. But after things have been sitting out in the heat and the sun, um, the markets sometimes just aren't as good an option. Even if they're fully enclosed, like covered, you go to the open markets, the name open market should say something alone. So you deal with that as it is. Now, for me personally, I don't like to go out much. I hate the traffic. I hate having to interact with idiots, and I hate the poor management of grocery stores and everything like that. So I like to choose my products. And like when I'm talking about like fruits and vegetables, I like to look at them and buy the ones that I think are going to be good for me. Especially since a lot of the stuff I'm eating, like salads and things, where I'm eating raw vegetables and fruits. I want to make sure I'm getting something that's decent quality. I don't want to make a salad with stuff that's already slimy, right? So I like to choose my stuff. So when I do go, I prefer the grocery stores. Problem is, even grocery stores, sometimes they don't have the greatest quality or the greatest selection. We don't live in a metro area, so our actual selection here, the different types of stuff that's available, is going to be pretty limited. Some of the grocery stores that you find in the metro areas, they're even getting a lot of imported stuff, fruits and vegetables that you just can't get in the Philippines. I mean, limes. Limes don't grow in the Philippines, but some of these places import limes from places like Thailand where you can actually get fresh limes to use, if you use those for cooking or whatever. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cover some of the online shopping and different options you have for online shopping for some of your food items, because for me that is one of the main places that I get a lot of my stuff, and you'll understand why. But one other bonus to this is, even though you're sitting on a couch or in your chair back in Nebraska or wherever, if you're curious about the pricing differences, you can go to these websites and look at the prices for stuff, see like what is the actual availability, is the stuff even in stock, and if it is, what kind of prices are you looking at? So First off, we'll talk about some of your sealed goods, like canned goods and packaged things that aren't like raw meat and produce. So the two main online shopping things that you're going to have, you have Shopee and you have Lazada. They're kind of the same, but also a little bit different. I just prefer Lazada more, but my wife uses Shopee. What I'll do is I'll go and I'll start showing you some of the stuff that's available there on Lazada for online purchases. And think of it kind of like an Amazon, where you can buy a bunch of stuff that you might not have locally available, and it'll just get delivered to you. So we'll go ahead and just take a just really quick look here at Shopee. It's not the one that I use, but we'll just show you what it kind of looks like. So you go to Shopee here, shopee.ph, and you can browse through categories. But like if you just wanted to search for something, let's say I wanted to look for spaghetti sauce, and you're going to see all the different options that are available. So if there's something that you want in particular, you can try and find some of these things. Just note, obviously, it's going to be in pesos, so do a conversion for your local pricing. But like here, something that's not bad here, it's not actual spaghetti, but here we have Chef Boyardee. So this is going to be imported. This is not something sold here at the grocery stores in the Philippines. This is an imported item, which means it's going to be more expensive. But here we're getting 3 cans, it looks like, or maybe it's only just 1 can. I'm going to assume this is only for 1 can of this. So just 1 can. This is the 418 gram, and kind of hard to see from the picture here, but just a standard size. It's not like the real big family size, just a standard size for about $4. So if you're into that kind of thing, you're going to pay a little bit more expensive, but you've got different things. If you wanted to find something, you can do a search for it, and it'll show you how much it would cost. Now, personally, again, I'm not really big on Shopee. I prefer Lazada. And we can go in here to some of my past orders, just so you can see some of the examples of items that we've been buying here. Again, I like salads, so one of the things that I get is my bacon bits. And this item appears no longer listed, so I can't really look at that. But here you can see, so I'm paying a little bit less than $4 for this little shaker of bacon bits. And it lasts quite a bit, so it's not bad. Here, S&R, again, this is like Costco. So our laundry soap, was 1,300. It's like $26 for the big thing of laundry soap. This is a huge, big box of my, I don't really eat cereal all that often, but this is like 2 bags for like $11, $12. I mean, that wasn't bad. Uh, Halloween candies, batteries, trash bags. Here, this is one of those things. So it's a can of refried beans and some salsa because I make taco salads. So for 1 can of refried beans is about $2. For the jar, it's a smaller jar of salsa. We're looking at like $5. Some of the really good pasta here, which you can't get in local grocery stores at all. This one here, is a little bit less than $4. So the prices are not bad. They don't jack up the price as much. Shaving cream, $5 for this tiny ass little can. But you can go through and you can find all kinds of stuff here, as far as like dish soap, laundry soap, a lot of your household goods that you might not be able to find locally. So you can see a lot of our orders every month we get S&R. Baggies, I'm really into those. My taco seasoning mix, because taco salads. This is the really big one, McCormick brand. Diapers and stuff. Here from Thailand, I import some of the different foods from there, and it's not that expensive. Just for an example, a lot of these things, when it says it's not available, it's because they've kind of relisted it. But these are the two big options that you're going to have as far as your online shopping. Just again, think of it like Amazon. This is going to be for your canned goods or other household supplies. So even things like toilet paper, paper towels, if you can't get it locally, or at least the quality that you want locally, you can go and you can find it online. You can also get a lot of your food items delivered. Again, they have online websites for that as well. So if you're really wanting your canned goods or other packaged foods and other items, you can get that online. You don't have to specifically go uh, to a local grocery store that might not have it in stock. One of the other things I wanted to show you is how we are buying our meats and produce. I saw this advertised on Facebook, I think, a couple years ago, and just out of curiosity, I went ahead and tried them out, and I was amazed at what we got. So essentially, this place here is located in, like, where they do a lot of their stuff is in Quezon City, so Metro Manila. And the way that this works is they're going to go to the big market that's there, and they're going to get whatever you need. So you want vegetables, fruits, whatever. You go through, you choose what they have available. They'll pick up the items for you, and then they'll come and deliver it to your house. So we live in Rizal, so we're like a close to 3 hour drive away from this market here. So they'll deliver it to us the next day, depending on when you get it. But they'll go in, they'll buy it that morning, and then they'll come out and deliver it to you. So here you can see, asparagus is going to be more expensive here. Uh, some of the names of items here are different. Instead of green beans, they're called Bagu beans. What we would know as Napa cabbage in the U.S. here, they call it like Bagu cabbage or Bagu lettuce, something like that. But like here, you can see all the different vegetables you can buy. So you've got your different selection of items here. My main thing, I always get iceberg lettuce because, again, I like my salads. The local grocery stores here pretty much never have iceberg lettuce available. The open markets here never have it available. When you do get it, literally a head of iceberg lettuce is the size of a softball. That's it. So by getting it online, I'm getting normal sized head of iceberg lettuce, and it's fresh. It's good quality. It can be a little bit more expensive depending on the time of year. Like right now, it's pretty expensive, but still, it's something that I need for my salads. So this is one of the only options. Here again, what we refer to as Napa cabbage, they call it Pechay Bagu, but red radishes. Since I was a kid, I snack on these things, and they aren't typically available here. These are the Filipino radishes. They look almost like a carrot. They just don't have quite the same flavor. So I can go here, and I've ordered these before, and they're normal radishes. But you can go through here, you can find all your different vegetables. You've got fruits. So you've got a good selection of different fruits. Note here, avocados, even though they grow avocados here, they are expensive when you try to buy them like this. That's per avocado is like $8. Jesus Christ. That's nuts. But yeah. So you can go through, one thing that we get every month is I get 1 kilo of grapes. I mean, right now the prices are just crazy. So you can go through, you can get all that. For meats, you can get your ground beef and, different types of steaks and pork, chicken. They've got seafood, if you want different things like shrimp or fish, crab meat. They even have scallops, which, when I had the money, I used to make scallops, scampi style. So they've got a lot of this stuff. Right now, the market is just very expensive compared to, what it was last month or the month before. But so you've got eggs. You can get like big trays of eggs. They've got some different deli meats if you're wanting to do like sandwiches and stuff. They've got other essentials. If you wanted to get rice, usually we get our rice though just from the local market down at the end of the road. But you can come in here and you can get all this kind of stuff, and as long as you're ordering more than $80 worth, which typically you will be, it's going to be free delivery. And here, if I can go back to like some of my past orders here, just to get an idea of the type of stuff that I buy. So here I got 3 kilos of ground beef. I usually will get 2 kilos of chicken breast fillets, so it's boneless chicken breast. The wife wanted to get some beef tapa. It's just like beef that's sliced. This one was not marinated. We get the tray of eggs and then salad stuff. So tomatoes, zucchini, onions, my lettuce. We always buy our garlic. I got cucumbers, cauliflower, broccoli, green beans, our grapes. So for all this different stuff that we got, it was a little over 120 bucks ish. And because it was above that minimum part, we got free delivery. So they usually will come out, and it's like around 11 o'clock or so in the morning. Uh, they'll come out and just deliver all this stuff. And this is going to be almost as good a quality as what you would find in the US. It's not quite as close, but it's pretty damn close. And I can keep this stuff in the fridge, and all the meats I'll separate into those baggies that I buy and freeze it. And then whenever we are ready to use it, we'll take one of the pre-sorted bags of meat, take it out, thaw it, and for that day we've got our meats. And for the first 2 weeks of the month, we've got all these vegetables for different stuff that we cook, salads and all that. After 2 weeks, either you got to consume the vegetables within that first 2 week period, or else they're going to be bad. So the second 2 weeks of the month, it's usually buying everything from the local markets. I'm not going to spend another $120 on groceries for the second half. So we don't get the free delivery and all that. But this is how I do a lot of my grocery shopping. So basically, if you're wanting to get really good quality fruit, like fruits, vegetables, meats, and stuff, as long as you're on Luzon, I would recommend checking out that Safe Select site, because we don't live in the metro area. We don't have access to the really big, nice grocery stores that have tons of selection and high quality stuff. Where we live, the grocery stores here, the selection's not that great. When you go, the quality is sometimes questionable. So for me, being able to get all this stuff on that website, and like, the quality is just so much better. Selection is just so much better. It's something I would recommend. But the prices from them are not that much different than the prices that we have at the local stores. So you might pay maybe $1 per kilo more for something, big stuff. But essentially, it's the convenience factor is what you're really paying for. It's not that much. It's not crazy, ridiculous, overmarked prices from their site. So if you're wanting to get just a good estimate, roughly, a good estimate of how much meats and produce and stuff like that will cost you here, you can go on to the Safe Select site, and just about every fruit and vegetable and meat that's going to be available in the country, you'll find it on their site, and you can see what the pricing is. If you want to see how much it's going to cost you for, a can of refried beans, or a bottle of beer or something like that, like, you can go on to Shopee or Lazada and check it out there and see how much that costs. The same thing goes if you're looking for, you know, paper towels or your laundry soap or anything like that. You can go to Lazada or Shopee, check it out, pay attention to what you're looking at, and just kind of see. For example, that ranch that I've got, I'm only paying $20 for it, like around 1,000 pesos. And when they don't have it in stock, you see the scammers that are on these sites, and they're trying to sell the same thing for $100. Obviously, that's not the right price. I've bought things on there, bottles of lime juice, from Thailand. It's an actual Thai imported lime juice that I use for making my foods. I'm paying 93 pesos. So that's less than $2 for that one bottle of lime juice. They're selling them for over 600 pesos, or $12, because the normal importers right now are just out of stock. So there's the scammers. So you kind of have to pay attention to that. You don't really have quite the level of protections and all that you would with Amazon or something, but as long as you're shopping smart and going to the proper stores like S&R or McCormick's Home official stores, something like that, you can get a good estimate of what the different prices for things are going to cost you. And, you know, it's some of the better options that you're going to have. If you don't have your own vehicle, and just the thought of having to take tricycles and stuff back and forth to grocery stores isn't really your thing, if you're not really wanting to do that, Safe Select or other things like that definitely are helpful. You just also have to bear in mind that you aren't the one picking out your produce. Somebody else is doing that. So if you're looking for mangoes that are just right, they might not be as good when they get here. I've bought avocados that were totally not right. And after like 4 or 5 days, they still were not good. I kind of wasted a bunch of money on that because I wasn't the one choosing them. Somebody else did. They're not going to take the time to like, is this one good? Is that one good? They're not going to look at it, smell it, whatever. They're just, give me this and this and this and that. Okay, boom, bag it up, let's go. So just kind of bear that in mind as well. Certain things, if you're really picky about which ones you pick. For me, just for an example, when it comes to apples, I'm very selective about the apple that I want. I want it to be just right. I don't want it mushy, you know. So when it comes to like apples, I want to look at the apples that I'm going to buy. So that's something to consider is if you are buying certain things online, you might not get quite the ripeness or whatever. When it comes to something like cabbage or lettuce or zucchini, cucumbers, they're all the same. So it's not like you're picking and choosing. It's just, you're going to get what you get, and that's fine. So as far as safety and all that, the foods that I'm getting from like Safe Select, you know, occasionally, yeah, you'll find little insects inside your fruits and vegetables, but it's not that much. It's definitely a lot less than what you would find at like the local markets and stuff. The meats, though, that I get from Safe Select are good, fresh. You know, I haven't never had a bad experience with any of their meat products at all, and you can tell it's for the most part way fresher than what I'm getting at like local markets and stuff. Um, for canned goods and all that, go into local grocery store chains. Things like here, the two main chains we have SM or Save More, and we have Pure Gold. Those are like the big chains. We don't have Robinsons here. Robinsons is way better, but that's only in like the bigger cities. Here we've got Save More, Pure Gold. I prefer Save More a little bit more the Pure Gold, but they're going to have these okay selections, but there's just certain things they just aren't going to carry in stock. That's where you can go to your Lazada or Shopee. S&R has a lot of those import goods that you're paying Costco prices. It's not overmarked prices where some Filipino is having the stuff shipped in over here in a Balikbayan box and they're upmarking it by 300%. You're not dealing with that. You're dealing with the normal prices you would get, just like any Costco. So you're going to be able to get a lot of those products. Also, just be aware though that if you really do like the Costco items, they don't sell everything online. Their selection is pretty limited. So there's a lot of things that I know Costco here, the S&R here sells in their stores that's just not online. So some of those things you might actually have to go to an S&R. And if you're not near one, like us, we're not close to one, so I'm not going to go and get a membership if I'm never going to be able to drive there to it. I just have to go online, and it's just whatever they're listing online right now. But still, they're going to offer a lot of items that are really nice that us expats are going to want. You're going to go onto this site like, oh, wow, I can get that here. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And before you know it, you've already spent $300 on buying stuff there. So just kind of watch out for that. So if anybody has any other questions that I didn't cover about food safety, food options, go ahead and let me know. This is just what we use. And we do have a limited budget, so we have to kind of limit what we buy. If I had more money, obviously, S&R all the way, man, I'd be just, bam, I'd be buying all kinds of stuff there because I can see literally thousands of items that they carry that I want. I just can't afford it. So, oh well. Um, if I had a little bit more money, when it came time to ordering from Safe Select, I'd do it twice a month, where each 2 weeks I'm getting a brand new restock. That way, the only thing I have to really buy from like the local Safe War is things like toilet paper or whatever that I can buy locally. But a lot of that other stuff, I just fruits, vegetables, meats, I'd be getting all that from Safe Select because it's just so much better quality than what we can get locally. So yeah, just if anybody does have any questions about it, let me know. Unfortunately, if you're looking to go into like Cebu or Negros areas, Mindanao, anything like that, I have no clue what your options would be. I really doubt somebody like Safe Select is going to be delivering. There might be a different type, similar place there. I don't know, but I'm not going to be able to answer those questions because I don't live there. So I don't know. So yeah, if you got any questions, just let me know.